Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
Hello, Internet, and welcome back. Well, welcome to the official Love 2 podcast, episode 64. My name's Keegan, one half of Love 2 Gamers. Hanging out with Tom, the other half. How you doing?
What's up?
I'm tired.
Good.
I'm tired.
I could tell.
I'm tired. I'm trying to
the energy's
trying
been
to
sucked out of the room.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what it was, but all of a sudden I was just like...
It's a long day, and that's why we're going to make this our bi-monthly podcast, or every 2 weeks or whatever.
Housekeeping, we're changing up. So, fun fact, if you didn't watch Codename Morpheus or you didn't watch Indie Please Details, we are changing the podcast to be every other week. The reason being, there's a couple reasons. One, we have stuff that always goes on, I feel like, and it always interrupts it anyway. So for two, and then the second reason is we've gotten to the point where we want to continue doing the reviews and for me live streaming and the other like supplemental content videos, and I feel like we haven't really done that because we've got more keys for games, which is a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's a blessing because we have more games to play. It's a curse because we have more games to play.
Also, the new format. The
And
new format has
editing.
crushed editing time to the point where something that used to take me one night, like after editing, like after recording that night, I could get all 3 done. Nowadays, nope. It's like a fucking 15-hour like slugfest of trying to get through it and make everything look perfect. And it's never perfect. But, I mean, with the quality-wise of the podcast that we have right now, I'm super proud of it. I just think to maintain that quality and also be able to do other things, we need to take, like, a week in between to be able to catch up on all the other stuff.
I was super scared when I texted you that to see what your response. I wasn't scared as in, like, what the fuck are you thinking? It was more like, I don't know how he's going to take this.
No, I'm fine with it. Like
you were. I was like, thank God. Like,
because
let's go. Okay. I was gonna do a different topic. I was gonna talk about Hammond on Overwatch. Let's talk about this.
Okay.
The topic just switched. We're going in. If you have never joined us,
we went from
a topic
from a hamster in a mech into something else entirely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about like some of the things we always talk about, and we again pulling the curtain back on this podcast. What it's for. We record every Tuesday, as we've said forever now.
Since 2015, February.
Yeah, every Tuesday. Well, it wasn't Tuesdays for the longest time because we didn't solidify
just
Tuesday.
like randomly.
Yeah, we were like,
the Tuesdays nailed.
And then we nailed Tuesdays down. We're like, we're doing Tuesday, and it worked out because that's when everything gets released. So it worked even better.
Yeah, I didn't even plan that.
Happy accident.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's unhappy because things will still drop while we're recording, but it's how it works. But no, we want to do the other stuff, and you've always wanted me to do reviews, but I don't feel comfortable doing reviews, and I've told you I'm not comfortable doing reviews. There's something about them I put a lot of pressure on, and I don't think I don't speak well. My voice is my knowledge, my voice, my wording is not the greatest, as you can tell right now.
It's struggling right now.
Yeah. So like I don't think
I'm finding your last couple reviews.
English is not a strong suit for me. I'm definitely a mathematical, analytical guy more than I am a words guy. And that being said, I love streaming. So to me, like the social aspect of streaming, especially with indie games, is going to be more fun. It'll give me an opportunity to do it.
This might have been lucky, but your review of Laser League got 281 views currently. Which
but I
think it goes to show that you can do it. But if you're uncomfortable doing it, that's another.
I just don't like doing it. I would rather stream it than sit down and do a review because I always put pressure on. Like, does this sound smart? Do I sound stupid? And this has been my whole life. This is like it's a me issue.
It's funny because like when you have the time to actually edit, you would think it would be the other way around. But instead, your live presence, you tend to garble your words less than if you have to actually sit down and think about it.
And you can because I feel
weird.
like
is it because you're reading?
Partially. So part of it when you're doing something scripted, something that you can edit after the fact, I feel like you have to sound more formal, more authoritative, more like convincing, I guess. I don't know what the right word is for it. Again, words are not my forte. But when you're live streaming or you're doing something live, you're in the moment. People understand that the editing process doesn't exist, so they'll be more lenient. More lenient with the words you say, within reason, obviously. Don't be a PewDiePie.
Don't do that.
But you can also go back and backtrack and things like that when you're my word choice when I have the ability to go in and just like pick things apart. My word choice frustrates the hell out of me. Versus when I'm just streaming consciousness, my word choice doesn't matter. And sometimes I'll have smart words. Sometimes I'll be like, fuck it, I don't know how to say that word, so I'm going to do another word or another phrase for it.
Giddy up pony thing.
Dude, there's one the other day where I was trying to think of like, I can't remember what I was trying to say, but I was trying to say something. And I just like, fuck it, I'm just going to say it the simpler way because I've always been a man of simple words. If it's over three syllables, unless you're explaining some science term to me, I don't need it.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I mean, it's not really a vocabulary thing because I know your vocabulary is good. It's just I think you overthink things.
Oh yeah.
And
I also my brain moves quicker than my mouth.
I am so used to laying things out in a flowery way when I'm writing.
Oh, see,
Whenever I'm writing,
I hate writing.
like that's when I really like have time to stop and think, okay, what would be a better verb here or whatever. When I'm talking out loud or streaming, that's when it doesn't really happen. So I'll say words that I think mean one thing and they don't, or like I'm just not as good in that type of an environment. Like if I can double check myself, then that's why like sitting down and actually writing something is super helpful for me. Like for example, when it comes to those Overwatch videos that we do, the So You Want a Main, Tigrado writes those. He writes all of them, and he's really good actually. Like they make sense.
I sent him the other day. His Tracer one passed 1,000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So.
So he writes those out, and he just finished the Brigitte one. So what happens generally is that once he's finished, I will then obviously
because he's not comfortable with voiceover.
Not
either.
at all, and I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah.
So I'll like sit there and I'll read his words exactly as he wrote them, word for word. I read it first to make sure there's no like
spelling
stupid stuff, but
yeah.
But yeah, I'll read it out word for word.
Grammatical errors.
But before I get to his section at the beginning of that video, I have maybe a 3 or 4 sentence thing I have to say before I start doing it. I can't do that off the cuff. I've tried. I've spent 15 different attempts trying to do an off-the-cuff thing where I'm basically just saying, welcome back to So You Want a Main. Today we're going to be talking about Tracer. And, you know, I can't do it. I have to write down 3 sentences just because when I'm, like, in, like, you know,
presenter
record mode, presenter mode, whatever, like, I have to physically see it and read it off the page.
And on the opposite,
as soon
it always
as I write
throws
it
me off.
down, I'm good.
I mean, you notice, like, for Indie Please That Details, when I read articles, and I'm a solid reader. Like, when I read to myself, like in middle school, I was reading at a 12th grade level. Like I would read John Grisham, I would read Michael Connolly, and even now,
There's
like
tables all over the place. Right?
Now I'm currently reading John Grisham's. I'm going back and reading The Testament, which I've had for years and just never actually read it. But I read really well. I don't know if it's because when I was growing,
it's reading and pronouncing it at the same time.
It's reading out loud.
Your brain doesn't like. Your
I'm
brain
always-
is trying to still like comprehend what's on the page, so then your mouth moves way faster than your brain.
And the other thing too is I was made fun of as a kid for mispronouncing words, mispronunciations, and part of that's because I speak quickly, and I know I speak quickly, but part of that's also because it's ingrained in my brain that I don't want to look stupid. And that's a me thing.
There's like
I'm,
extra pressure.
Yeah, I'm always terrified, and it's funny because like when I live stream, I'm like, fuck it, I'm live. It doesn't really matter. But like when
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
But when I'm doing like this, like when we're presenting like Indie Please That Details, when I'm presenting the news, I put extra pressure on myself to not screw up the words, and that's when I screw up the words, if that makes sense. Like
no, it does.
when I did the voices, like that's me relaxing. Like that fucking military whatever voice I did, the gruff voice, I nailed it because I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah.
And shit like that. So it's real weird how my brain works.
I would think that over the course of the last 3 years, that would have become easier for you. But it still seems to be.
Yeah,
a struggle.
it's always been a struggle in my
And
life.
I don't care about it at all. Like, I mean, you always, you know, eventually get it out. But it's.
I don't word. We had to restart today because I couldn't word on fucking.
But it's.
Yeah,
it's interesting
Mother
how
Gunship?
like if you put on a voice or something, it just comes out fine.
And it's funny because like I write and you know Wheezy obviously because he did all of our artwork. He made this fucking studio for us.
Yeah.
Like me and him are gonna get together and work on some cartoons and stuff like that. And I write cartoon scripts, but it's that wording is literally I'll hear the voices in my head. And that's just characters going on versus formal presentation. Like I joke I would never want to be like somebody who does an official press release, like a president or of a company or whatever it may be, just because that is so much pressure to get your wording right and to make sure you don't flub over anything that I would be thinking so much about that versus what I was actually supposed to be reading of like don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, and I would fuck up. So, but yeah, that was a bit of a tangent what we were going on there, but I think honestly like
Pipe sound.
But his dogs are going crazy upstairs right now.
Oh, baby girl, it's okay. All right, continue.
So, but no, I think
Don't calm
honestly
down
like
eventually.
Hi, doggies.
She's home. Shut the fuck up.
Hey, it worked. But anyways, dog interruption there.
Yeah.
But no, like, what was? Oh, I wouldn't want to do like formal speeches because again, I overthink what I have to say, and I always feel like like you said, I feel like my vocabulary is not garbage. I just choose not to use complex words or complicated words because there's no point. Because why do you like characters like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory? I think are funny. Why would you use overcomplicated words to explain something simply?
I mean, I think the key for me has always been knowing who your audience is.
Yeah.
So, like, if I'm talking to someone about a subject that I have any kind of prior knowledge about, I'm going to probably talk to them on a slightly more advanced level.
Well, it's like with me video editing.
Zero.
Like, I know I use vocabulary in video editing that a lot of people have no idea what I'm talking about.
Right, that's because you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of what it is that when you're reading off a page, it's not your words. It's someone else's words. You didn't write it. So it's like...
Even when it is my words reading off a page, it's still a struggle.
That's true.
Because I write differently than I speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'll write a thing, because in my brain, it's like, oh, this is more formal because I'm writing it down, versus when I speak, it's more informal. It's, again, do it live, see what happens. So, I don't know.
So, back to the original
all that being
point,
said, yeah.
you don't want to do reviews anymore.
We're not doing reviews anymore, but I will live stream more.
I will, though.
So I'm hoping, I'm hoping the Tuesdays when we don't get together, if we don't have other things. The other thing, too, is it gives us a quote-unquote office day to do a bunch of the other stuff we want to do.
Yeah. We haven't updated our channel trailer in years.
Months.
Well, a long time. We have a bunch of affiliate links that we need to make little things for. So, you know, right now we have the bumpers that I made. Now, those are subject of interest for our channel because, like, some people hate them, some people like them.
I hate them.
I really like them. But it's also like I get how it doesn't necessarily fit with the theme and flow of the show as it is. My original idea when coming up with it was basically, you know, based off of Adult Swim. So whenever you're watching Adult Swim, in between their shows, they have these small bumpers, which I always just really loved. I just loved that it was like just like a little 10, 15 second thing that was like, you know, just cool visuals, cool audio, and it was just like a nice breather, except there, you know, then it went into like adverts, which sucked. But the reason why I felt like we needed a breather, we didn't really have anything put together already. And I thought, you know, we've had all this cool footage of like stuff that we've done, people we've talked to. Why not, you know, just put some cool music over it and like zone it out a little bit, make it look quirky, and then put it up. So those are probably going to go because we're going to actually start trying to use our affiliate links and basically like try and get revenue, because honestly, like, as much as it sucks to say, hey, we need money, we do to keep going. Like, we do this for free and we'll always do it for free as long as it's fun, but we would love to do it for a job, because, you know, it's a lot of work. And if we can do all of this with 1 day a week, imagine what we can do with
5 days.
Whole week. So that's kind of something that we're kind of focusing on. So, you know, the bumpers will probably get chucked for affiliate links and stuff. But this is also, you know, something I'm going to talk about later, which is not being afraid to fail and being afraid to say, okay, let's try this, see if it works. If it doesn't work, try something else.
And I feel
which
like
I think is a lot of what our channel is.
Been.
Exactly. It's a good metaphor for our channel in general.
I was texting or sending Clara Dactyl a message the other day on Twitter. Let me pull it up here and see. Oh, I said the 3 things our channel was built upon, because we were talking back and forth after her live stream, which went fairly well. I was kind of giving her some advice.
She did great. So proud of her.
She goes, I learned it all from you guys. I go, we know nothing.
You learned anything from us.
We faked it till we made it. But I said
faked it till we made it.
Yeah, we made it. 3 things our channel is built upon. 1, is it fun? 2, just try it. If it doesn't work, no harm, no foul. 3, always ask because you never know. And I feel like that's honestly the core of what we do, is that right there.
Yeah.
And everything we do goes back to, are we enjoying it? Yes or no? If not, why aren't we? What was number 2? I forgot. I was gonna
We've got our core tenements already? Do we need to carve them in stone?
Well, I was going to say always ask, but that was number 2. It was just
3.
try it. It's no harm, no foul.
No harm, no foul.
I forgot number 2.
Yeah, I mean, we've tried several things. Some stuff, and
some stuff we want to put on the back burner and bring back.
Yeah, there's some stuff that worked, but it just, like, for whatever reason, like timing wise or whatever. Like, I really enjoyed no skills required. Oh, it was great. if you're new to the channel, you'll have no idea what that is. But when we started out, we had a show where basically I made my wife play video games, and me and Keegan made fun of her while she did it, and it was great because she was having fun trying to play the game. We were having fun making fun of her playing the game, and for people that were just watching for the first time, it was just kind of just goofy run through. We made her play like half of Tomb Raider, so it was kind of a neat little idea. And
that'd be fun to bring back if we get the opportunity. I mean, that's also the other thing, like with having every other week to work on stuff like this, we could do that. We could have friends come in that don't play. Like I know, like Beth, I know would be very good at something like that, of like bringing her in and just throw her into a game and be like, because she understands video games enough to be able to get the controller.
Be dangerous,
but not enough to be good, which is the best combination to have. Yeah, because you don't want somebody who doesn't know anything at all, because they're like, what the fuck am I doing? You want some sort of familiarity with game controls and all that kind of stuff.
Also, it gives us opportunity to potentially do more games together, because obviously, like, that was sort of a tenement of our show when we started out, was that we would play games together. Even if only one of us is playing, the other person would still be there and talking.
And we weren't great at it, but I also think, like, I loved, one of our favorite things we did was the Keep Talking Nobody Explodes. Like, I love the couch co-op games, and we don't get the opportunity to do that because I get here at 11:30. We start recording usually around 12:15, depending on the day. And then, like, right now, it's past 5.
Jesus.
Yeah. Normally, I'm out of here by 5. But it's
been
past
a long
5
one
right
today.
Yeah. But we don't get to sit down and play video games like we used to. We used to actually do all this in one go. I don't know how the fuck we did that. We would have a setup over there.
We only had one podcast.
That's true.
And then we had
3.
Yeah. No, but it was like we had the one podcast. The editing was minimal. When we would usually do one Let's Play, one Bite, and one podcast in a day, and then any other things that we needed to do. Again, and even that is asking a lot, really. We would do a couple episodes, so sometimes we wouldn't have to record one week, and then we'd have to double up the next week. But the problem with that is you lose your flow. You know what I mean? Like especially with Let's Plays and stuff. Like Let's Plays, is something that you really want to play the whole thing, like in a couple days, and just record it all and then just chop it up, as opposed to us playing like Call of Cthulhu was and
then 4 weeks later,
5-month-long excavation. Yeah. It was. I mean, it turned out fine, but it's just one of those things.
But I do love, like, one of the other things we talked about doing potentially is like with Rainbow Six Siege, getting other people's perspectives when we're playing. Yeah, like that kind of thing, where I think that's a cool concept, because me, you, and David all have capture cards that we show different perspectives of people of the same situation. Yeah. And we play enough co-op games, like even like Overwatch. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be an indie game. Like, we play enough Overwatch, and we play enough Siege, and we play enough Elder Scrolls that, like, stupid shit happens all the time when we're just playing games. And that's not hard to do. We would just have to sync everything up. But you could do that through the voice chat and have that done, and then I would just pull everybody. I would have everybody's audio, or record it all separately, and then sync it all together that way and get it done. It's just logistics of that. But that's always something I've wanted to do, because I think those are, I love Kind of Funny. They do party mode, which is exactly that. And I always think that's an interesting perspective. They're not the only one that does
Some
it.
of the most fun times that we have are on those streams, and maybe there's not that many people watching those streams because they go on for a while and they're weird times and stuff. But if you could take some of the best elements of that and then put them into just a 20-minute video or a 30-minute video, then I think that would be cool. I think we had a lot of fun with Friday the 13th when that came out, and there was plenty of times when I wish that we had multiple perspectives on some of that shit.
Games like that.
We had like a floating Jason at one point. That was amazing.
I was dead, I think, when that happened.
It was awesome.
I saw him.
Yeah, like that's when you would switch to my perspective and see floating Jason, and then switch to Jason's perspective and see him floating above everyone, and it would be cool. So I mean, what it boils down to, I guess, is just wanting to do more of that stuff, more of the, let's say, fun, because it's not that the podcasts aren't fun. They are. I enjoy sitting there and talking, and I think we're good at it. But I think that the
other stuff's suffering because of it.
The other stuff's suffering, and also the other stuff is what tends to keep people around more and introduce more people to what you're doing. I feel like the podcasts are one thing. You build up your core audience. They either enjoy it or they don't. But ultimately, we're a video game channel, and I like to play games, and I think it'd be cool to have more of them on the channel.
Yep, I agree.
Cool.
So going forward, if we go, or we will be going every other week. That's why.
With the possible exception of the next couple of weeks, because we have Pixel Pop, which is a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah.
We'll get into it later.
Yeah. Pixel Pop's coming up. We have, I mean, I love convention season, so we'll see. We're actually going tomorrow. Fun fact, in the past, we're going tomorrow for an AV meeting for Pixel Pop. So that'll be exciting to see what's going on there.
We're the official partners this year for Pixel Pop Video Partners, which means that we basically are going to be recording as much content as we possibly can in a 2-day period. trying to capture as many panels as we can, trying to interview as many developers as we can, putting that all together in a nice little bow, putting it on the website, obviously, for you guys to enjoy all that amazing content. And then also Pixel Pop is going to be using it for their stuff too. And they're like, this year has been a massive upgrade over the last couple, I think, as far as like, you know, the amount of people that are going to be there, the panelists that they have there, the talks they have going on. Like, it's just super impressive to see this thing grow, especially because it's a hometown developer.
You say we don't have to pay for a hotel?
Yeah, right. It'd be nice just to drive in every morning.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's all I really want to say. I mean, I want to talk about Hammond, but
Hammond's cool.
Hammond's coming next week.
I'm excited. It's gonna be great. All right, cool. So game time after the break here, and it's gonna be, of course, Name That Game. And we're back with our game, which is Name That Game. As always, at this point.
I was going to say, remember when we were going to do multiple things?
Yeah, we were planning on doing like all kinds of fun stuff, but ultimately this is the most fun, I think. Yeah. And also it's kind of cool because you guys can play at home at the same time.
And you learned about people's backgrounds.
You do.
Last week you didn't know the Kojima guy.
I didn't. You tested me too far. Yeah. I did not pass. I didn't
expect you to know it potentially, but I also didn't know how much you knew Kojima.
It was a possibility.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'm not mad about it that you tried. So yeah.
But you got the one because I felt like bad because you got the one before pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's
so you know.
So I picked one for you. Again, it's a case of I think you definitely know the game. I think you may have played the game, but I don't know for sure. So
you just lost the game.
We'll see. So yeah, Name That Game. If you're unfamiliar. Basically, what that involves is one of us picks a game from the annals of gaming history, and the other person has 20 closed questions in which to guess that game. So a closed question, if you don't know, is basically a question that does not give an open answer. So it has to be like a yes or a no or a red or a blue. It has to be very sort of singular in nature. There can only be one answer, and it is usually one word or two. And he gets 20 of those to ask me before he has to actually say what he thinks the game is. And the only question that is banned from our list of questions is what genre is it? Because frankly, it makes it too fucking easy. So with that being said, sir, I have your game in my hand right here. I'm not going to show the audience.
I'm changing the themes here. So I always pull up a counter on on the thing, and then I realized that I have a counter on my phone.
Okay.
So I'm just going to use that.
All right. So, without further ado, I guess, go.
What platform is this most recognized for being on?
I would go ahead and say the Xbox 360.
Cool.
I'm going to tilt slightly to the side here. Okay, keep my phone tucked. I feel like I have to look at you a little bit when I do this. Also, this way you can't see my screen.
Who published the game?
Game was published by... Should have checked this. Microsoft Game Studios.
So it's the first party game.
It was published by Microsoft. Maybe they just really liked it.
Is this game still continuing to today? Like, is a series, not the game, but is it a series that's still...
Yes.
Oop. What are you? Like human, animal?
Human.
Human.
Correct.
Where are you?
Let me make sure I get this right. It's a fictional city.
But like, I guess Earth style?
Yeah, on Earth. But it's a pretend city.
It's a pretend Earth.
Yeah.
Or pretend city.
But it might be real Earth, but it's a fictional city.
Published by Microsoft Studios. You're human in a fictional city. What's your weapon?
Just plenty of guns.
Cool.
Probably some other stuff, but mostly guns.
And you said it was still going today?
Yeah.
Does this game have any sequels?
That's why it's still going to this day.
That's
So,
not what I meant.
do you have a different question you'd like to ask?
Is this game Xbox One backwards compatible?
I don't know. Does it say that on the Wikipedia?
Oh.
I don't think it says on here if that is correct or not. So I don't know how to answer that.
Question. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Probably.
Do you play a single character?
So that is a good one.
I'm on question number 8, by the way. For those of you at home.
For those of you playing at home. According to this, I'm pretty sure you do. You can tell that I
Is this a AAA game?
played it minimally. At the time, I think it would have probably been considered double to triple, but I think since people have kind of considered it to be triple.
So it's in between you potentially being on the AAA.
Yeah, I think it's one of. I'll give you a little bit of leeway here. It was not as popular when it first came out as it eventually grew to be. So that's why I'm like, maybe. I mean, Microsoft put it out, so
Yeah.
yeah, to an extent.
It's a first
sure.
party.
Yeah, but it's not.
Doesn't mean it's AAA.
Yeah, took a little while.
What is your objective in the game? I was going to do obscure ones, and I realized that's probably not a good
You
idea.
have to defeat 3 crime lords and their organized crime syndicates.
It is by Microsoft Studios. Clearly, it's a crime game. Fuck, what's the name of that game? I don't know if Microsoft made that, though. I can picture it in my head. I can see the trailer, but I don't know what the name of the fucking game is. It's got giant gates that open up, and you go into the world. Or go into the house, I guess.
What question you want?
This is number 11.
Okay.
What are you in the sense of like occupation? Are you a cop? Are you a superhero? Are you a Marine?
I'll try and find the official terminology. You are a biologically enhanced agent.
biologically enhanced agent? Microsoft published on the 360. It's got to be first, or it's got to be exclusive at this point.
You haven't asked who the developer is. I don't know if that would help you or not. Probably not.
Probably won't, because publisher helps more than developer. Because 9 times out of 10, I don't know who develop games. Unless it's like a Nintendo, which it's clearly not Nintendo in this case. If it was, that'd be weird. Can I ask what the character's name is, or is that too specific?
I don't think they have one. I'm looking it up.
I don't know if that's too specific or not.
Let me see. Yeah, there's no actual.
Are we counting that as a question then?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, because you learned that
there's no name.
So that's useful information.
Yeah. What's your perspective? First or third?
Third.
Biologically enhanced. I want to say Gears of War, but I feel like Gears of War is not it. Because I don't know if you're biologically enhanced or not, or if you just have giant ass guns. I've never played Gears of War.
I mean, you're like steroid enhanced, maybe.
Yeah,
but
I've never
I
played.
don't think you have any biological.
I was gonna say I
powers.
don't think there's anything there. The crime parts was throwing me off because I don't remember playing any crime games on Xbox 360. Because at that point I was still playing sports.
Well, it's quite, like I said, it's quite a big title at the time, and I know that
Yeah.
you were a big Xbox guy, so I kind of thought that you probably would have at least seen it, if not touched upon it yourself. It's definitely like well known. So.
And it's still going today.
Mm-hmm. Barely.
That doesn't help at all. I was like, what was released on the Xbox One that was today? Because it clearly had some sequels.
How are you guys doing at home with this? Has everyone figured it out yet? Are you all yelling at your phones or your computer screens for Keegan to
What's your environment? You said city, but like style wise, is it like noir? Is it retro futuristic? Is it steampunk?
I would say a little bit futuristic, but basically just normal.
Normal city.
Yeah, just think like plus like 25 years on top of what we already have, maybe more.
So it's not like flying cars,
or
anything like that.
Honestly, not sure because I don't remember, but I don't think so. I think it's just like the near future.
It's not Ratchet and Clank.
No, cars have wheels.
Cool. Cars have wheels.
Correct.
Put it on the box.
It's proven. Cars have wheels. Stick it on the box.
Stick it on the box. Well, there's obviously cars in it.
Yeah, it is a city.
Doesn't help at all because
I honestly thought you'd had it by
three
now.
crime lords.
I'm quite surprised.
Well, I like I said, I don't remember outside of like LA Noire. I didn't play any crime games because you have to remember, like 360 for me was what 2006.
Just because you're taking down crime overlords doesn't really make it a crime game. They're just the enemy.
Yeah, but there's crime involved.
You're also a biologically enhanced human in a fictional city.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly like Jack Bauer.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a name.
Exactly. The nameless one.
My question's 15. I'm getting to the point where I need to narrow it down.
No pressure. There's just a lot of people listening to Dead.
Is it? I know I can't ask genre, but is it puzzle based or more action based?
Action based.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. Should probably click over. Next.
At this point, I would let you ask me what genre it is, frankly.
I don't know what genre is it.
Open world action adventure.
Oh fuck. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not gonna get it. I don't think.
You might.
No.
I kind of want to help you, but I also kind of don't because you fucked me over on that achievement thing. So I don't know. You have to finish out the questions. It's very important to the integrity of the show.
I know.
Otherwise, people are just gonna like turn off and be like, "Oh, this guy, fuck."
I'm trying to think of like a bio-enhanced game. This action adventure open world.
Bio-enhanced. I need to enhance my bio.
Set in the future, but not far future.
You're really racking your brains.
Published by Microsoft.
Yeah, that should be
it's
pretty fucking big.
Exclusive. I know, but
I should narrow it down immediately.
But I don't like. I didn't play Microsoft first. Like you have to remember.
You played Halo?
Yeah, I played Halo. Name another first-party title from Microsoft I played.
This one?
No.
I reckon you did. I reckon you played it. If not, and you fucking knew someone that had it or played it. You could ask me what year it was released.
That's not going to help me. Because it's clearly between 2006 and 2012.
It lets you know where it was in the life cycle.
That doesn't help me at all.
Doesn't narrow it down for you?
I didn't play games. I didn't pay the close attention to games.
You have a couple questions left, and you haven't got any other fucking useful ones. So
yeah, I do. Was this game? Did this game have an Xbox One release? Like the series, not the game itself.
Not yet.
Oh. Does this game have a C in the title?
Have a C in the title?
Yeah.
No. Oh, yeah, it does, yeah.
I was like, Crackdown?
Yes. Congratulations. question was it the last one?
Well, this is the last one right here.
1920?
Crackdown.
Yes, it is indeed. Crackdown. Crackdown is an open-world action-adventure video game developed by Real Time Worlds and distributed by Microsoft Game Studios for the Xbox 360. It was released in North America on the 20th of February 2007 and worldwide by 23rd of February 2007. Crackdown was conceived by Real Time Worlds founder David Jones, who also created Grand Theft Auto and Lemmings.
Fun fact, I never played Crackdown, and I had no friends that played Crackdown.
No. But you got it.
I knew it because Crackdown 3.
Right?
Crackdown 3 was the first time I heard of Crackdown.
That's when you're like, is this and you series still going? I went, barely? Because it's like they've delayed that motherfucker so often. I don't know.
Well, is it out yet? Or is it an Xbox One release? Not yet. Oh. Does it have a C? Yeah, Crackdown.
All right, great.
Got it.
So that was Name That Game, and despite all appearances, he made it to the end, folks, and he got it. Crackdown. How quickly did you get it? Let us know which question you got it on
I narrowed it down pretty quickly.
in the comments
I
below.
just didn't play any Microsoft. Like I said, literally outside of Halo and maybe Fable,
I played
I've
that
never played
game
Microsoft Studio games.
once. So I know I'm kind of semi-familiar with it, but at the same time, like, I figured you might have played it more because it was pretty big. But you know what I mean? It wasn't like AAA.
Well, you have to remember
like,
in 2007,
Yeah.
I was just starting high school.
Right.
So
Well, that's
I don't know if
perfect
I
time to play
I don't know if I would have been allowed to play those.
All right.
Let's see.
All right. We're going to move on and take a quick break before we come back with my tale, which is actually how to stay positive in a negative world. See you after this. Welcome back to the show, and we're going to top it off and end it here with a little bit of positivity. As our friend Easy Lee would say, a dose of positivity. I'm not generally known for being the most positive guy. I get it. I'm English. I'm cynical. You know.
My shoes are falling off. Hold on.
The shoes are
Got
falling
it.
off.
Well, they were off. I had to get them back on, but like it had like tucked all the way underneath the table. I was like, where'd they go? I was thinking real hard there, Tom. I lost my
one
shoes.
of those weeks this week. So anyway, like I suffer with depression, anxiety, pretty much fucking you name it at this point. I have to take pills for that, for both things actually separately. And
Viagra's a hell of a pill.
yeah, that's the antidepressant pill. No,
Thanks,
but
Bob.
but I do kind of, you know, I go through cycles of kind of being miserable on myself and stuff, and I know that I'm in those cycles when I'm in them, but not always. And
Welcome to my world.
right, I know. Yeah, I mean, you had other stuff going on, but I mean, I've just been watching like a few bits and pieces recently, and I watched some what do you call like Tim Robbins or whatever? Is it Tim Robbins?
Self-motivators?
Yeah, those
Self-help?
guys. Motivational speakers, those guys.
Yeah.
No, I'm by no means a motivational speaker. However,
there's that one guy that my dad sent me, the millionaire dude. Can't remember his name.
yeah, I remember you showing me that guy.
yeah.
He has the money thing as well or whatever. Does
No,
it-
that's Dave Ramsey.
that's it. Oh, yeah.
Not him. It was somebody else.
Different guy. Anyway, I'm not really like an ideal candidate to give you this information. But like we've been talking to a few people lately who are like super bummed out about their channels and they're super bummed out about life in general. And honestly, like you take a look around and you wonder, you know, like how could you not be at this point in time? The world's going to hell in a handbasket. Especially if you're a fucking liberal like me. So we're at a point now where there's just so much angst and anger and just vitriol. And, you know, if you're trying to do something goofy and fun like a video game podcast or show or whatever, you know, sometimes those things will get you down. I actually got myself into a deeper depression than I've ever been simply by watching the news every day at lunch. I got to a point.
So I don't watch the news.
Well, this is, you know, one of my tips is don't. But,
The only news I watch at this point is Phil DeFranco.
yeah.
Like honestly, like because I don't. It's gonna sound bad. Not that I don't care, but at this point, like it's just depressing. Like, you know, every time there's gonna be something I'm like,
it is, and it's not that I want to stay willfully ignorant. It's not that at all. It's just a case of like it was literally affecting my psychology. It was like I would every lunch, every lunch I watch a game of Overwatch. I watch the Overwatch League, or I watch like a streamer or whatever.
You should watch Nerd Cubed. He's doing a Sim series right now. He has Darth Vader as one of the characters,
like
and
The
he's now
Sims.
like, but he's got Darth Vader, and he can't touch Darth Vader. And Darth Vader made out with a dude last episode.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was a thing. Darth Vader's gay, apparently. Canon now.
But you know, I kind of had to swap what I was doing. It started with Counter-Strike, and then I moved into Overwatch. But like every single lunch, I would go down, I would watch CNN or whatever, and I would be bummed out. And it was because I wanted to keep up with. I'm a very like touchy-feely, emotional, like very responsive person to that type of stuff. We had our thing here with Ferguson. We had like at that time I was watching the news a lot as well. We had obviously like all the presidency stuff has been super depressing to me. And I just kind of got in this super funk by just simply watching the news every day, which sucks because you kind of feel like you want to be able to know what's going on in the world and stuff. But at the same time, if it's making you depressed, you probably shouldn't do it because you're just going to like breed more negativity. And that's a problem with being kind of negative in general. That's why when you see streamers and YouTube channels where they just start getting, you can kind of see when the bitter and twistedness comes out, right? With some people, and you just kind of feel like
me.
No, you're usually
I stab at people.
You're allowed to like you have a dissenting opinion on some things. That's fine, but you don't sit here and complain about why isn't our channel bigger than it is and stuff. Like I get it. Like sometimes when I sit and edit for 15 hours and then we have like 8 views on something, like I'll be bummed out. But
well,
at
it's
the same
like
time,
I text you after the stream Sunday where I was like, nobody really showed up. Like this, I feel like it's all for naught at times.
And we have these conversations where we do these, like sometimes everything is wonderful. We get tickets to awesome places. We meet celebrities. Sometimes we just get keys and keys and keys and it rains keys on us. And then other times you don't get, much of anything, or you feel like you put something together that you're really proud of and then no one's really watching it. And that happens. And you go through ebbs and flows, which is kind of my response to you at the time is that sometimes that just happens. There's nothing you can do about it. Like counterbalance that against Siege like the week or two before, and they're two very different things. And it can be something as simple as timing, or it can be subject matter, or it can be just like you're not really feeling it, so the audience isn't really feeling it, or whatever, right? So what I thought was I would talk a little bit about positivity today and trying to maintain it, because it's not an easy thing to do. I actually have like some special tools and everything with me, but I have some techniques and things like that. So I'm kind of going to go through some of those things.
Professor Tom.
Yeah, right? Try and stay happy. So the first thing that I would want, and the reason why I'm doing this was because, do you remember The Secret? Were you old enough to remember that? So Oprah Winfrey had this thing, right, that she was touting called The Secret.
She had a TV show.
Yeah, she did. Congratulations.
Now she has a network.
Yeah. So anyway,
by Apple.
she's big into motivational speakers, right? And I mean, most rich people are. But there was this thing she put together that was supposedly like a wealth of knowledge from several philosophers from all over the world, and it was called The Secret. And, the stupid thing about it was essentially the secret was how easy is it to take these fuckers' money. But what The Secret boiled down to is essentially be positive, and positive things will happen. That is literally the secret.
I've heard it before, where you think something will happen, and it's more likely to happen than Which
and
I don't know if it's true or not, but
I mean, it feels like more often than not,
positivity.
if we're positive and we ask someone for something, we usually get it. If we're bummed out all the time and we're thinking, should I ask, should I not ask, or whatever, then we're not going to get it. And that's kind of a lot of what this boils down to. So what I wanted to start with today was actually, I might need your help here. I need you to be, what's your Price is Right lady or whatever?
First of all, it's not a Price is Right. You're talking about Vanna White?
Yeah, Vanna
That's-
White.
that's
I need you to be Vanna White.
Don't whack me in the face, please.
I have a billboard here.
It's not a billboard, it's a whiteboard.
It's a whiteboard. White billboard. I'm going to balance it precariously on your chip. And I hope you guys at home can see this. And so I'm dead serious about this, okay?
You could just put this on the screen behind us.
I could, but then I'd
post.
have to video it. So I don't want to do that. I want to do it live, because fuck it, do it live, like you said. So this is a technique.
I'm going to make this as hard as possible.
I know. Thanks for helping out, by the way. Yeah. So
I'll let you support it on my back.
This is a technique which is actually weird, because I saw this technique for the first time on an ASMR video, And the reason why they did it in the ASMR video was basically an excuse to draw you asshole to draw a sketch. You can't move, stay still.
Didn't mean to.
It was to draw like a pencil on paper, right? Because that makes a weird noise and people get their little ear tingles on, and that's the whole thing about it. Okay. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use this technique as an actual technique because honestly, it fucking works. And it surprised me because I wasn't expecting it to. So I realized the title is kind of stupid here, but I just wanted something to write at the top because I'm lame like that. So this
I'm surprised it's not a pun of some sort or something like
I
that.
wish
Or
it was.
alliteration.
I was not.
There's no alliteration going on. I'm disappointed in you,
not
Tom.
smart. It's late in the day. I was not smart enough. I wrote this right before we started. So this is called the Dimitri technique because I learned it from a guy called Dimitri. Dimitri is Australian. This is
A line.
a line, yes. And it's very hard for me to write this. This is low and this is high. You may be able to see this, you may not. Just trust my words that this is low and this is high. If you're listening on audio, very sorry. You may need to actually like watch this part of the podcast or just like listen to my
like
words.
we need to
Need to move it? Okay.
slide those
Yeah,
out
let's
of
do
it.
it.
There you
Let's
go.
go
They
whole
can-
hog here.
You guys
This is
can
gonna
now
be
see.
great.
I'm trying not to speak too loud because this microphone's way closer to me.
This is
but
gonna
you
be a
guys-
great
you
time.
should be able to see now.
I got the second reverse, so I can't do this. Okay, so this is my line. This is high. This is low. Let's just imagine this is your emotional sort of center here, right? Okay, so when you're like feeling super happy and stuff, you're up here. When you're feeling bummed out, you're down there.
Indie PopCon last year.
Right. Perfect example. So this is the problem. So I need you to give me an actual like thing that bummed you out recently.
I mean, the death of my grandma.
That's a little really depressing, but sure, let's go with it. Okay, so this is the problem. People get stuck in emotional thought cycles where all they're doing is continuously going back to the same thought over and over again. So, to preface this, I'm going to draw this a couple times, make it a little thicker maybe. This is what you're doing, continuously thinking about the same shit over and over and over again. And you can see we have like an infinity loop here on the line for those people that are listening in audio.
Or a bow.
Or a bow, sure, why not? Like a little stick man with a bow tie. So, so this, let's say this is where you are generally, right? Like this is like, just you're a little bit happy, not a lot happy. So as you're thinking throughout your day, you're gonna get to portions of this, like right here, you're gonna stop for a second and then think about your nan. And it's gonna bum you out. And you're gonna like get kind of depressed about it, and then you're gonna forget about it and you're gonna move on with your day.
It's usually the car. Usually when I'm driving in the car.
Right. And then you're gonna stop, you're gonna drive your car again, and then you're gonna start thinking about your nan again. And then you're gonna think about your day, you're gonna keep going around, and you're gonna drive your car at some point, and then you're gonna think about your nan again. And you're just gonna keep doing this over and over and over with no end in sight, right? And as you do this, as you are continuously stopping and thinking the same thing over and over again, and for some people it's just like, for kids and stuff, it's like, I don't want to go to school tomorrow because Timmy called me an asshole yesterday. Or for, you know, a lesser harsh thing that you went through, your car broke down and you have to pay money and it sucks.
I had to replace a windshield.
Yeah, and then you had even more problems. But if you're doing this, eventually this is going to start going down because you're continuously stuck in this cycle, this loop, if you will, of thought. And it's impossible to get out of it. And that's the problem. Well, that's the thought anyway. So here's what you have to do. And it's very, very simple, but it's also something that you have to kind of train yourself to do to make it easier each time. You have to catch emotionally when you are thinking about that thing. So you're in the car on the way home, you start thinking
listening
about,
to some Silverstein.
listening to Silverstein, and you start thinking about your nan. Normally, you would just think about your nan, get a little bummed out, and then continue on with your drive, right? The next time that happens, if it still happens, I don't know if it does or not, but the next,
Every so often, right now, it's usually when I see something on Facebook.
and it gets less over time,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
in the moment, this is haunting. This goes on for a long time.
Oh yeah, I mean, we from that example, like she passed away late last year,
Pixel
and
Pop last year.
Yeah, on Pixel Pop. That's when I found out, and then I was feeling it probably until I would say April, maybe later than that. Like it would every so often you just
Pops back up.
have these things that pop up. And you're like,
It
well,
always comes back, and that's the problem, is that it's always in the back of your mind, so you always get to it. You have to recognize it. You have to recognize when you're doing it. So you're in the car, you're thinking about your nan. You have to, instead of just continuously thinking about your nan, recognize right here, right now, right here. I'm thinking about my nan. I need to stop. And this doesn't say you have to like erase her from your memory, you know what I mean? But you have to just like stop and be like, I should stop thinking about this and just continue with your time, right? Recognize that you are, I'm not saying like you have to stop immediately, but recognize that you're doing it. And that's the problem. People don't recognize it. They just continue to think and be bummed and think and be bummed and think and be bummed. So you're going around your day, blah, 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 start thinking about, and then you got to be like, no, I'm thinking about this right now. I don't need to be thinking about this. I'm going to stop. Then you continue on your day and you go to work and then you get back in the car and you're driving home and then, no, I'm thinking about this too much. I got to stop. I got to stop thinking about it. And it's not until you can start to recognize those moments that you're heavily focusing on that one thing that's bumming you out. And physically, and it's really hard to catch sometimes. You have to almost train yourself to do it. But you have to, like, just for a second, step back, recognize that you're doing it, and then immediately push it out of your mind as fast as you can and move on to something else. Think about something that makes you happy. Give me an example. What have we got to look forward to right now?
I mean, Pixel Pop's coming up.
Pixel Pop, exactly. So you stop thinking about Nan and you replace that with Pixel Pop instead. Okay? And it sounds kind of like harsh because you chose a shitty thing. But I like his example was like I lost $100, right? you went straight for the death. So thanks for that. But you know, it's but that's kind of what you have to do. Is that eventually you have to start taking these moments, recognizing them when they come up, immediately recognizing that, stopping it, push it out of your brain, replace it with something else, and eventually you'll get to a point that when you're driving around, instead of thinking about your nan, you're going to start thinking about Pixel Pop instead, and that's going to put you in a good mood and make you push more towards your overall happiness. Now, I'm not saying that this is something that, like I said, in your particular instance, I would never tell you to stop thinking about her because that's a healthy human response to losing a family member. But for smaller things, perhaps, things that aren't necessarily...
Like my car breaking down.
Like your car breaking down, which is what I was
multiple
hoping you were
times
going to say originally. Like your car breaking down and bumming you out.
See, I've gotten over that at this point because it obviously wasn't as traumatic of an event.
Right.
Like, I've got my car. It's everything's fixed.
The thing is, you've kind of solved the problem, right? But when it's
when I was in it, well, the other thing too is like
overarching, overbearing thing.
I had a. I mean, I don't want to go too much into it, but as you know, I've had legal stuff I've had to deal with, and I finally solved that shit. Yeah. So that was nice. But that kind of thing is like the unknown of that was always in the back of my mind of like, okay, if this doesn't get solved now, A, what's it going to cost me? B, what are the ramifications? C, where do I go from here? And
that's the thing, is that like every time you have a negative thought of any kind, there's usually several tail-spinning thoughts that come off of that one thought anyway. So this is like, it seems like such a stupid, simple, like, of course, why don't I just stop thinking about it and think about something else? If you say it out loud like that, then yeah, it sounds stupid. But genuinely, this fucking works. I've had so many times, and I've been in the shower or whatever, and I've been like, oh man, I really don't want to go to work for ABC
He's riding
reasons.
His pony thing.
And then I'll get to the point where I can recognize it. I can stop and be like, okay, I got to stop thinking about that. And then try and focus on like the next recording session or whatever. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the Vanna whiteboard here. Thank you for sitting in your chair and doing nothing.
You know how hard it is for me to sit still?
That's true. Okay, I'm going to move my microphone back around here.
Because I'm going to be real loud.
Hopefully you guys could see that okay on the video. I have no idea if you could or not. But that's one. So that's what I call the Dimitri technique. And I'll honestly try it, see if it works. If it does, let me know. It'd be awesome. A couple of the small things you can do as well. So here's a really common one. That's something that a lot of people do but don't recognize. How often do you say sorry in a day?
I have no idea.
So sorry is a word that has instant negative connotations, right? When you say sorry, you're admitting guilt to something, or that something is wrong, and therefore you need to rectify it by apologizing immediately.
I say sorry.
Sorry. So one thing you can do instead of saying sorry is say thank you. It's actually a technique that we use at work a little bit as well. It's a personal thing. It's not really anything that got taught to us. It was something that we just kind of started doing, and then we noticed that the results of the interaction that you're in are better. And that is that instead of saying sorry for being late, say thank you for your patience. Recognize the positive in another person, replace the word sorry with thank you, and soon like that conversation is going to start off on the right foot immediately, as opposed to starting off on the wrong foot by saying something negative and kind of admitting guilt, even if you are fucking late, right? Like even if you're late, that's fine. You're still like in the wrong for being late, but if you start that with thank you so much for your patience instead of sorry I'm late, then just the turn of phrase, the very simple turn of phrase, can cause an entirely different interaction to follow afterwards, based upon if you say sorry, I'm assuming that you did something wrong. If you say thank you, you're praising me and I'm happy about it. Make sense? Cool. This one is huge, and this is the last like general piece of advice I'll throw out. Controlling what you can control.
I suck at
and
this.
letting the rest go. You are terrible at
I am
this.
horrible at
So
this.
is my
I
wife.
overthink everything.
So is my wife. So am I occasionally. This is something that just blows my mind. How many times that, and this comes perfectly back to the CNN thing. So like I'm watching the news, right? I'm watching, our president-in-chief or whatever doing something stupid, and I'm getting upset about it. Like I have any fucking control over any of that situation. Yeah, I can vote and things like, well, I actually can't, but there's certain things that maybe I can do on a small, minute level. But
you can protest. You can,
right now in this moment,
yeah.
I'm eating dinner at work. I can't do anything, right? Now, if you have a situation where you're not getting many viewers to your stream, right? So what can you control about that? You got to think like, okay, well, some of the things I can control the time I stream. I can control the game I stream. I can control who's on the stream. I can control the words that come out of my mouth. Those are things you actually can control.
Where you share.
Right. How often you share, where you share, all that kind of stuff. But there are so many times where there's things that are just completely out of, let's say the power goes out. The fuck you gonna do about that? There's nothing you can do about it.
Real world examples a couple weeks ago when the audio just didn't fucking work.
Yeah. That wasn't your fault.
Literally had to
you
restart
set
the
it
app.
up correctly, so you control what you can control by fixing it, right? But it was out of your control to begin with. So instead of dwelling on that and being like super bummed out about that happening, you just have to do the thing you can do and move on with it. And this is a super problematic thing for a lot of people, is just recognizing the things that are outside of your limits of what you can achieve, and the things that are totally in your control. So thinking about on a big level, like government or I don't know, your work or whatever. Like if your work puts a new policy in place that you don't agree with, that's cool. Like you can be super bummed out about that, but ultimately, what can you do about it? So you can sit there and worry about it and stress about it and complain about it and just completely fuck yourself up over it for days at a time, or you could say, you know what? This is the one thing I can do, like I can put feedback in or whatever. Outside of that, I can't do anything about it. So I just have to let it go. Because letting things go is such a hard task for so many people. And it's sort of super interesting to me how hard it is and it's personality type based as well, because like for me, it's super easy for me to let stuff go, but I will worry about stupid shit. So there is times when I definitely can't control.
When I ignore you.
Yeah, that drives me insane.
You're like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm at work.
But
I promise.
My wife, for example, like she has a control thing where like she like feels the weight of so many things that are not in her control. And it wasn't until like we sat down and we're like, hey, you can't do anything about this. So why are you worried about it? Like it's senseless worrying. It is just wasting your life energy. It's wasting your time. It's wasting your thoughts on something that is negative and that you cannot change. So controlling what you can control, as platonic as that phrase is, it's still so true, and so kind of like it's something that you need to almost repeat to yourself as a daily mantra to remember to do that, because it's so easy to forget it and to just let the world
one of the things
weigh you down.
I followed Jacksepticeye, and I saw him when he came through on the How Did We Get Here tour. And one of the things he's done this year, because he was super bummed, he's actually taken a few months off. He's going to LA for a trip to hang out with Markiplier and Game Grumps and all them and do things with them. But one of the things he's coined this year was PMA, positive mental attitude. And
I don't know if he coined that. But.
well, that's what's one of the themes of his
The
channel
theme of
this
the
year.
Okay.
Is he like on his whiteboard behind him, it always says PMA or it says some sort of inspirational quote or whatever it may be, and that stemmed from him last year being just so upset and distressed about not necessarily things he did, or it was more about the things he didn't do, because he's in the position right now. He gets a lot of opportunity to do a lot of cool
Do whatever
things.
he wants, basically.
And he turned a lot of things down because he didn't want to let down the channel, or didn't want to let down so and so, or just couldn't get there, or logistics, whatever it may be. And he let that dwell on him and dwell on him and dwell on. And I'm sure there's stuff behind the scenes he doesn't talk about at all. Like he has a relationship with what's her face. I can't think of her name right now, but he's in a relationship with somebody. I'm sure there's dynamics there for when he travels and all that kind of stuff. So it was just interesting with him doing that. And we talked. I went to the Q&A before the show. I paid for VIP ticket, which was kind of awesome. Getting the chance just to ask him questions and talk to him was one of the people asked about the positive mental attitude and kind of what do you do when you're not feeling it that day. And he's just like, look, you can't really do anything. Like, what are you gonna do? You can either stay the same and be bummed out, or you can choose to be happy. And he goes, I choose to be happy on video. He goes, I'm not happy all the time. I'd be lying if I said I was. But on video, I choose to be happy because me being happy could make somebody else's day better for that 15-minute window that they watch my video.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Like, I watch YouTube, I watch streams, I watch all this kind of stuff. And why do I watch it? Because I get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
So.
And if you were watching someone that was consistently complaining about, and we've both done it, we've both sat there and watched someone do it and go, like, why are you doing this? Then you notice it, and you're like, God, this guy is fucking like
because there's a difference between, like, there was a stream the other day. I was watching Gerbeagly's stream, and he kept apologizing because he had to cut his stream short because it's been fucking hot in the United. It's been hot everywhere, but where he lives in the U.S. is really, really hot. He doesn't have central air, he's in New York.
He's back there.
Ethan's
I thought he moved to L.A.
He might have. I don't know. But anyways, in his apartment, like, he doesn't have central air, so when he closes the door to his studio to record or stream, it gets really hot really quickly, and he can't stream for 2 hours at a time. He can do maybe an hour tops before he starts getting drenched in sweat. And he was apologizing for that because of he felt bad for letting down his community. And you know how that dude is. Like, we've talked to him on a personal level, and there's a lot of pressure as a content creator to make people happy because they pay your bills. At least in his case, they do. So it's just quite interesting seeing that dynamic with it. And I was in the stream when he was like, look, and from his perspective though, he's not complaining or saying this sucks. I'm sorry. Like, he's saying I'm sorry from a genuine standpoint of, like, hey, I wish I could do more, but this is the reason why. Versus, like, I have no money. Like, a prime example. Greg Beagley wants to go to PAX, East, West, whatever the next
West.
one is. And he said on stream, he's like, look, financially, it's not the it's not the most financially responsible decision. Which is true. It's expensive to go to cons. Well, then a couple people in his chat were like, no, we're gonna make you go, and they donated a bunch of money so he could go. But he didn't say, I'm not going to PAX West because I can't afford it. Give me money. He said, hey, I can't afford to go to PAX West, so I'm not going to go. His community said, fuck you are, and said, you're going. And he released a video a couple days ago just talking about, like, how blown away he was. He's like, because back in the day, in the video, he actually said, back in the day, I used to do, and we did for, like, PSVR, we've done it. For charity streams, it's different. But when you put a dollar amount for things that you want in a stream, it looks, in my opinion, really bad.
Tacky.
We talked about doing it at one point, and I think you were just like, don't do it. And I was like, I kind of agree. Like, I thought about it, I was like, oh, maybe it'll push people, but, like, that seems greedy. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. We don't want that perception at all. And he goes, I felt bad because I would raise money, and it's a legit reason I want to go to PAX West. I'm a content creator. It'd be cool to meet other people there. My friends are there, like, all that kind of stuff. But he went back in the video and he said, I hated doing that. I felt guilty for doing that. And it's so true. Like, it's one of those things you control what you can control. And he didn't want to, again, he didn't say he didn't want to go to PAX West, give me money. He said, I can't afford to go to PAX West. As an adult, I have to pay bills. And then obviously something good came out of that because of it, but it wasn't his intent.
He's a good guy. I like Greg Beagley a lot.
And it's true with a bunch of other streams. Like, prime example is Jacksepticeye again. He did a charity live stream the other day, and people were donating money to him. But he then turned around and donated the money back to charity. He's like, this isn't about me. Like, I'm happy, thank you. But at the same time, it's just like, well, We're not here for this.
Yeah, you bring up a good point about perception as well. Something I always say, and this wasn't actually in my speech here, but perception is reality is a phrase that I use quite a lot, and I've used it in all of my trainings that I've ever done at work and other things. But it's so true. Like the perception that the world or whoever stood in front of you has of you is their
perception.
Reality until you change their perception. So if you if someone perceives you to be like money hungry or whatever, that's you are money hungry.
Or at least complaining.
Even if you're not, even if you're like totally not that thing, if you are perceived to be that, then you are that in the eyes of the person.
And a good example, I keep saying prime example, but a good example of that was I was showing Beverly at work, I was showing her Clarodactyls videos. Like, you think I have energy, watch this. And she watched it, and of course, because the energy level, she's like, hold up, is she normally like that? I go, she's hyper, but that is also, I don't say an act, but that's also embellished for the channel. Like, she doesn't talk like that in real life. She does speak quickly, and she's a very excitable person, but she does speak like a normal human being off the channel. And that it's perception, though. But if you only watch her from YouTube, and the same thing with any person you have a window of,
you would think hanging
that's
out
who
with
they
would
are.
be exhausting.
Yeah, like Jacksepticeye, everybody thinks he's always happy, cheerful guy. He's not.
Right.
He's like, I have moments where, just like everybody else, I go through shit.
And this is important for channel creators especially. So the last part that I want to talk about here, just to top it off, specifically for your channel, right? Because this is what the Metacast is about. It's like, how do you become a YouTuber? We're not the most successful YouTubers, Twitchers, whatever, in the world at all. It's like we have all the keys. It just haven't come together yet. And we're working on that, and that's why we're taking our every other week, and we consistently make steps, and we're doing great. Like, we're not doing bad by any means. Like, we have like 1,340 some odd subscribers, which is like amazing. And there's new ones every day. There's people that are watching the video. The videos are getting more views.
It's really weird when the older videos get something on them.
It blows my mind a little bit. Yeah.
It's like you watch something from 2 years ago. Oh God.
So
it's kind of cringeworthy because like, ooh. Sorry.
So here's a couple bits of information, or I guess pointers for you. Number one, avoid slumps by studying trends. I think that's interesting because there's you can kind of tell when your channel is slumping a little bit and when you're not really moving in a particular direction. And I think a lot of what people don't do is they don't self-analyze enough, which is sort of an important step in any channel or any streamer.
If you're playing Fortnite every night, you're competing against 100 people who are playing Fortnite.
Right, exactly. So knowing the trend of I mean, I don't mean follow it by any means. Like, in some instances, sure, but for the most part, going against the trend is what helps you to stand
for
out
our
from
streams,
the trend.
I've had conversations with you. Like, I love playing Overwatch, and it's fun to stream Overwatch with friends, but clearly less people show up for Overwatch for us than any of the other games.
Which is why, I don't really not that I love playing Overwatch whether I'm streaming or not, but I don't think that's ever an ideal pick for stream, because I know that when you play a game that's lesser known, that we do better as a channel. So that's why, there's certain, I mean, Siege was fun because for us, we've never done that before, and that we actually had a great time doing that. Because,
and we had people popping in, giving us tips.
Yeah, we had people popping in that were like, I'm looking for strats. We were like, you're in the wrong fucking place, buddy.
Yeah, that's like when we played golf back in the day. You have those random moments where shit would just happen.
We were killing it on the golf stream. So studying trends, not necessarily to partake in them, but more so to learn how to avoid them so that you stand out is a really good place to start.
I have a trend that a lot of people don't know about when it comes to YouTube, if you're YouTube exclusive.
Go ahead.
So between the months, basically of, I'd say starting in December through about March, there's always a downtick in YouTube views. Really? Don't know why. Nobody really can explain it. It's just every time during that part of the year, less people are watching YouTube.
Do you think it's because there's better TV, better movies and stuff?
I don't know. I'm sure there's a series of factors.
I would put it on other entertainment.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a series. I'm sure there's a series of factors involved in it, but there's you can ask any content creator. There's always that dip in between December and March that just every year is consistent, and then the summer picks back up. But even summer sometimes doesn't pick up right away because people are getting out of school. They either may or may not be watching YouTube videos. They may be outside, whatever it may be. But then the school year, it's funny, when the school year starts is when it really picks up again and then drops off. So
got to watch something instead of learning.
Yeah.
So number two, seeking honest feedback. Now, this is easy for us because we are two people. We trust each other's viewpoints and we are completely honest with each other about our creations. You don't like the bumpers, we're going to get rid of them.
We also look at things objectively a lot of the times too. Of like,
We have to. Yeah, you have to do that. You have to objectively look at it. But if it's your own channel and you don't have someone with you to say, hey, that thing that you did kind of sucked, or like this is not ideal, or whatever. Like that's why we do what we do when we do panels. Like we love meeting creators and actually like analyzing their channel and being like, hey, you could be so much better if you looked at ABC instead of DEF or whatever. But a lot of it is, I think, people are scared to self-analyze, and they have this idea, this perfect image of what they want their channel to be when they start it.
it's never there.
And then and that's not what your channel is, man. You won't know until you do it. And you start noticing the things that are working, the things that are not working. So you have to self-analyze and you have to be honest. But the only people that can tell you really, like honestly, how you're doing are strangers. Don't ask your friends. They're always gonna, unless they're like the type of friend that would tell you that dress looks ugly. You know what I mean? Like if they're that type of friend, sure. But otherwise, the strangers are the people that are going to be honest with you. We, for the longest time, we would just post stuff in some of the Facebook groups and then just be like, "Hey, what do you guys think about this?" And people will be brutal. It's the internet.
I remember when we made the decision to go long format. We got shat on for that. Like, I remember everybody being like, this is never going to work. YouTube needs 10. And I used to say the same thing. YouTube needs 10 to 12 minutes. Fun fact, YouTube has changed a little bit since then as well. It's benefited us to a certain extent. But like you said earlier, don't be afraid to go against the trends. But yeah, go get feedback. And it's funny because, like, people now... I'm more in those Facebook groups, I think, than you are. With a lot of them. And people now, as I've gone along, I mean, again, 1,300 is not huge, but in a lot of those smaller groups, you are considered one of the larger creators because a lot of times once you hit a certain number, you kind of disappear. So people will ask me advice when they see how many you have. Like, what are you doing? We got affiliated with Microsoft the other day. I posted on my personal page, and I sent a message to Tubin, and he's like, "How the frig did you do that?"
I still don't know how.
Or even like Colin in our Discord was like, "How does a very Sony-centric channel get affiliated with Microsoft?" And I go, "You just ask. Never know.
You don't ask, you don't get.
Just ask."
One of the tenets.
But also, I told him too that like indie games are every platform. So
changing what this is number 3, by the way. Changing what isn't working, and sometimes what is. I know that sounds weird. But there are plenty of times when you might have a show type or whatever it is that you're doing, and you feel like it's kind of working a little bit, but it's stopping you from expansion. Like, yes, it might be doing well. You might be getting, I don't know, a decent amount of views on it every week, but that thing could be made so much better by either tweaking it or, in some instances, replacing it with something that actually would work out better in your favor.
A good example for us is the reviews. Like, you used to do movie reviews. And those have kind of turned into game reviews because it's more fitting to what the channel is now. Eventually, we've always said we want to make Level 2 something like a bigger media thing where we do TV shows, anime, whatever it may be. But right now, like the game reviews, and they've been received incredibly well versus those movie reviews weren't received as well. Yeah. Like, view-wise.
Bums me out. I thought they were good. but again, people watching our channel don't necessarily give a shit. So that's totally fine.
It's knowing your audience.
You're assuming that everyone in your audience thinks the same way that you do about things other than your main subject. People are subscribed to us because they want video game content. So if I'm making movie reviews, stands to reason that they're probably not going to enjoy it as much, right? So that's something to be sort of cognizant of. Number 4, not being afraid to try things and stop if they're unsuccessful. See bumpers. Number 5, patience is a virtue. I know it's a platitude. I know it sounds frustrating. 3 years, guys. 1,300 and some odd subscribers, 3 years. Some videos go to the moon and back. Some never take off to begin with. But in all of that time, ignoring our stats completely, we have got to do some really cool shit. We have had fans buy us a VR headset, which has now become, part of our regular weekly show routine. We have gone and interviewed amazing game developers, awesome celebrities, voiceover artists, content creators, artists. We've
released over 1,300 videos, by the way.
Wow.
Just so you know.
And you know, and we've gotten to do things beyond our wildest imagination. The fact that we're like now affiliated with like Microsoft and GameFly and TubeBuddy and all these kind of awesome little things. And we do have a revenue stream. It's not very big, but we do have one.
And the game developers, like I always think the relationships we have, because I feel like now we're getting to the point, like before we literally at one point just blind emailed a bunch of game devs to see what would happen. And I feel like now we're starting to get to the point where we're actually building relationships.
Emailing us.
We're also building relationships with them. They're coming directly to us. Like, I have a relationship now with the guys at Spearhead. Like, I've talked to them. I email them back and forth. Like, they keep me up to date. And it's beyond just, hey, we have a new game. It's, hey, how's it going? Type thing. I emailed them the other day to like, hey, how you guys doing? Like, how's the game launch gone? Like,
and relationships are hugely important in this business as well. Like, we wouldn't be anywhere near as successful as we are if it wasn't for the fact that we can have a conversation with people and they kind of want to talk to us again after the first one. You know what I mean? There's instances where we've talked to content creators that we thought we would never see again, and it turns out that we've become kind of like really friendly with them. Gerbeekly is a prime example.
They remember us.
They remember us, and they're willing to help us on some stuff. And
I mean, think of also like the game devs too, like with Slug Slasher and Cattails. Like,
they remembered us.
They're like, oh yeah,
they're hard to forget. But patience it really is a virtue, and it's a case of there's so many people that make their channel if they don't see like instant success like really really fast, or they make a Twitch thing. And
by the way, I'm trying to find our least viewed video. Our most viewed video has over 10,000. I'm trying to.
We're bound to have one with 0.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But we have 1,300. I'm scrolling through, and it has to load every so often.
Goddamn. No. But yeah, so patience really is a virtue, and here's why. And these are 2 other platitudes for you. And again, these are just platitudes, but they are so true. Number 1, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So when it comes to being a successful creator, this is the next one, there is no such thing as an overnight success. And this is something that we've learned from several content creators, because on the outside,
I broke it. I can't see.
Your perception, which is of course your reality, is that Jacksepticeye got famous overnight, right? Like he was a nobody.
He got the PewDiePie shout out, and that's what made him famous.
He got that PewDiePie shout out, and then he got super famous. No, Jacksepticeye was putting in work, man.
He has released 2 videos every day, or almost every day at this point. There's been a couple he's missed here and there recently, for about 4 years.
When he started, he was releasing videos all the time. It's really fun to go back and watch Jacksepticeye's like evolution. They show the evolution of his like his beginnings in the channel, like how he got from just like, hey guys, what's up, into like top of the morning to all the other shit that he does. But like, it's a case of there really is no such thing as an overnight success. Everyone that you view as an overnight success was just a guy that you didn't know about yesterday. Like, everyone has been putting in the work and doing like the grind of making videos that no one watches and going to places that no one goes to, and just consistently fine-tuning, getting better audio, getting better video. Like, everyone goes through that process, and at some point you might tick. You might have something that rolls over and like, this is the one. This is the thing that's going to make you have suddenly like way more subscribers than you had yesterday, and then it'll snowball from there.
When we live stream for us was when we were doing the Star Wars. Like, when we did Star Wars, that period of time, we were averaging like 20 to 40 people on a YouTube live stream when we were playing Star Wars Battlefront and when we were playing ESO. We don't do that anymore, partially because we switched over to Twitch, but partially because we weren't streaming as much anymore. But like, during the Battlefront 1 era, like every time we played Battlefront, we had consistently 20 to 40. Sometimes we had over 100 people, and I was like, the one I will never forget was when we played Battlefront and we had over 100 people without being rated, because we got rated by Julie, One Shot Girl, a few times, and that obviously helps things out. But at the same time, it's just like, oh shit,
yeah, like
we did this somehow. We don't know how.
Still don't know. Yeah,
we were #1 golf stream one night.
Still proud of that, let me tell you. So as much as a lot of these are platitudes, they're the things that you'll see in a bumper sticker or on a Facebook profile or whatever. They're so true when it comes to the world of content creation. They really are. So I'll summarize them again for you. Avoiding slumps by studying trends, seeking honest feedback, changing what isn't working and sometimes what is, not being afraid to try things and stop if they're unsuccessful. Patience is a virtue. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and no one is an overnight success. So, we want you to succeed. If you are watching this and you're a YouTube creator or a Twitch creator or just you're thinking about creating and you haven't done it yet, we wish you the best. We really do. I don't view anyone as competition, never have. When it comes to this, there's room for everybody.
The only competition is the friendly competition.
Right, yeah. I mean, you can, yeah, and that's good. Like, friendly competition helps, excel both
I'm competitive,
places.
let's be honest. But but to me, the competition is not that you're going to be better than the other person. It's having people push you to be better.
Right.
Like
kind of like how technology companies are always trying to one up each other.
Like with Tubin, a prime example is like Tubin had the tip jar. He had all the notifications. I was like, "Oh, you motherfucker! You're not going to beat me with that. So let me add it." And then he hopped in and showed me how to do it. And I was like, "Oh, sweet." So, but it's I guess it's not really competitive, but it is like I can't have you have something better than me, competitive versus I'm going to crush you competitive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me.
Hopefully it makes sense to you.
But all these things, hopefully, tied together in a neat bow here, will help you succeed if that's what you're looking to do. Taking it all the way back, I still take medication for depression and anxiety. It's not gone. You still take plenty of medication, I'm sure.
I take cocaine. I don't.
Cocaine. But it's
I have the money for cocaine.
Yeah, who can afford cocaine in this economy?
Yeah.
So it is about staying positive, relentlessly positive, regardless. Like, it's not to say you can't be sad sometimes, right? You're a human being. You have emotions. Sure, you're allowed to be sad. But it's how do you deal with that sadness and move on to a brighter future? And especially in terms of content creation, like, how do you analyze yourself from an outside perspective if you don't have a partner like I do, to look at the channel objectively with and kind of make those changes. So that's all I wanted to say.
We're good partners.
Yeah, we do pretty good. I like to think we do.
I feel like
You feel closer to me now?
no. I had that when we were in Indie PopCon.
Oh, okay.
We're in the same room.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially last year.
Yeah, it
This year,
smelled a
not as
little
much, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, you snored real loud. I farted. It was great.
So, anything you want to add to any of that? I know that was like an off-ball topic for me, but I literally wrote that yesterday.
I just feel like, I mean, like you said, getting feedback objectively, like we have some things, like I've been asked multiple times when we get into a heated discussion on channel,
Do we hate each other?
do we hate each other? And I was like, no, like I respect the hell out of the dude, and you understand, and I understand both. Like in that moment, part of it is obviously for the show and kind of getting the perspectives out, but it also is, this is my opinion on it. I'm allowed to have that opinion. Like when we were talking about No Man's Sky with the VR thing, like it's like you're allowed to have the opinion that VR would make that game better, but my argument is, why do you think that if you already think it's a bad game? So that's kind of where I think it's fair to go back and forth. Like I can't tell you you're not allowed to think VR makes
There's
it
a
better.
difference between an argument and a debate. I
Yeah.
think. Like an argument is usually like
We have arguments, though.
If you have an argument, one of you is right, one of you is wrong. If you have a debate, then those are two opinions that you're clashing against each other and trying to have your opinion be held in better regard.
And I feel like a lot of times we do go back and forth, and that's where you guys need to find somebody to help you with that, or go back and forth and like, what do you think of this? Like we had a discussion the other day. We're looking at, again, not rebranding, but also slightly rebranding, of making, I guess unifying the brand is the best way to put it, of making everything look
I lost my voice. I just realized it's been such a long day.
across the
These are
whole
supposed to be short podcasts.
Yeah. Across the whole platform, or all the platforms, like having everything unified. What does that look like?
Yeah, because
like,
our YouTube doesn't look anything like our Twitch and vice versa.
doesn't look anything like Twitter.
We really need to like
What's our font? What's our
synchronize
colors?
everything up a little bit and kind of have like a universal theme for everything.
But we go back and forth what it looks like, because I have an opinion about it, you have an opinion about it, and you're like, then I go, hey, Wheezy, do your shit.
I mean, we compromise really well, I think. Whenever there's something that's not working or like whatever, like you're not afraid to tell me, I'm not afraid to tell you, and we're at a point where we're comfortable enough with each other that we can help make things work. And hopefully at some point, all of those little compromises and all of those little sort of feedback sessions and things like that lead to the channel becoming better overall. And that's the plan, and that's why the quality is upped quite significantly. We made the joint decision to purchase this camera, which I think has worked out great. We have these sweet microphones, so the audio studio is way better than it used to be back in the day.
Now that I'm
we
turned
have
down.
this wonderful studio and this like awesome setup on the side of me here, where you can kind of follow along, or if you're skimming through and you just want to get to a certain section, and you should be able to see it change.
But this was not an overnight thing. This
No,
is a
not at
build up
all.
over 3
This
years
was
so
3
far.
years to get to this point. And if you want to see what it looks like overnight, go watch a couch conversation, because that is an overnight. Let's just sit and talk.
Yeah.
Those are the earlier stuff that we did.
That's literally how these podcasts started.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the genesis.
10-minute conversation about
of
nothing
this.
in particular.
And the reason it was 10 minutes is because the camera would run out. Working with
Keep
what
it
you
under
got.
12.
Yep.
So that's our show. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you learned some stuff. We definitely were extra introspective this episode, which is what I kind of like to do.
I'm sniffing them.
Just sniffing them.
Yeah.
How do they smell?
Like plastic.
Like plastic.
Yeah.
There you go.
Susie back in the back smells pretty good. That's weird to say.
You smell good.
Sorry, Susie.
This is the delirium that sets in after, what has it been?
It's
like
6:30
8
right
hours
now.
of recording or something.
I need to go home.
Yeah, and I need to fucking eat. I'm hungry.
You need
So
to hang out with that person you call a wife.
yeah, she's like upstairs. Like, what the fuck is he doing? So yeah.
That's our
Hopefully
episode.
you learned something today. Bearing in mind, of course, that these podcasts are now going to be once every couple weeks instead of once every week, and we're doing that out of love because we want to give you better other content, which we now will have time to work on, and we're super excited about. I'm super pumped about it because I've got so many keys to get
I might
to.
be setting up a green screen at my house too.
Yeah,
I have some other things I haven't even told you about.
noise. I'm fine with it.
I surprise him sometimes.
Yeah, it's always a good surprise. So
Sometimes.
Yeah. If you have any thoughts on anything that we've discussed today in the podcast, or Indie or Codename, or other two podcasts, in case by the way, in case this is like your first introduction to us for whatever reason,
Why are you still here?
A, why are you still here? B, we make podcasts and shows about indie games and VR games because we think they're cool. And that's what we
Put
do.
it on the box.
Put it on the fucking box.
We need to make a t-shirt with that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you so much for all of your love, all of your attention, and of course, watching. We'll see you next time. Welcome to the second level.
You screwed that
I
up.
know. Bye.
It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.